monde. Welcome everybody to the regular Municipal Council meeting of the City of Westmount for Tuesday, July 4th, 2023. Bienvenue tout le monde aux séances ordinaires du Conseil municipal de la Ville de Westmount pour mardi le 4 juillet 2023. I think we will begin the evening with some reports from councillors. We've got 3 councillors missing tonight, which sometimes happens in the summer, but I have a brief statement on the status of the strike in the City of Westmount. J'aimerais commencer cette séance en disant quelques mots au sujet de la négociation pour le renouvellement de conventions collectives de nos cols bleus. Les nouvelles ne sont pas aussi bonnes que nous le souhaitons. As you may be aware from our social media platforms or from the media last week, after several months of negotiations, we reached a tentative agreement with the Syndicat d'écoles bleues regroupées de Montréal, section locale 301, which represent our blue-collar workers. It is important to understand that this tentative agreement is between the employer, i.e. the city, and the union on the main points of the negotiations. And before a new collective agreement could be finalized and signed, Westmount blue-collar workers had to vote to ratify it. Unfortunately, it is with regret that I announce that a majority of the blue-collar workers have rejected this tentative agreement. Therefore, the ongoing unlimited strike that began on June 22nd is likely to continue for an extended period of time and may continue to impact some of the activities and services that are provided by the city. This strike has already resulted in the cancellation of the traditional events for Fête Nationale du Québec and Canada Day, which are enjoyed by many, many Westmounters of all ages. We are neither happy nor proud of this situation, and we will do everything we can to limit the impact of the strike on services and activities. Garbage, recycling, and compost collections will not be effective. It is a setback, but we are not discouraged. We are committed to continuing negotiations in order to achieve a fair, equitable, and responsible agreement. There are obviously still a few stumbling blocks before we reach this agreement that the majority of the blue-collar workers can accept. But our ongoing negotiating teams are hard at work, and these points will be addressed as quickly as possible. Encore une fois, je vous remercie toutes et tous pour votre collaboration et votre compréhension, et surtout pour votre patience tout au long de ce processus. Once again, I want to thank you all for your patience, your cooperation, and your understanding throughout this process. Merci beaucoup. And just the other point that I wanted to raise is the medical offices bylaw amendment that had been introduced in the City of Westmount. Has 3 zones had submitted a petition, so including the 5 affected zones. That is 8 zones in total, and there will be information on our website and in the newspaper in the coming days about what the next steps are for that process. So are there any, Councillor D'Amico, do you have an update?
Just one quick update. I was slightly disappointed or upset regarding the picture in the Westmount Independent. So I would like to make a plea to all the users of Summit Woods to be very respectful of our crown jewel in Westmount. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and I agree wholeheartedly with you, Councillor D'Amico. Councillor Peart?
Just a quick update, Madame la Mairesse. Last week, the city held a online public information session for the residents of Grosvenor Avenue during the reconstruction project that is currently underway. Ideally, we would like to have had it earlier in the project, but we did it last week nonetheless. What we did during this session was really just to introduce some of the design changes that we were bringing to the project. We are narrowing the street because speed has always been one of the large issues along that street. So the street is being narrowed, and the sidewalks, more importantly, are being widened on both sides. It's a highly trafficked area. It's on the block with Roslyn Elementary School. We want to improve the safety and security for our vulnerable users along that stretch. And so we're also introducing some traffic calming measures along that block, where there will be some permanent bump outs along the stretch of the block, as well as some permanent speed bumps as well. So, and another feature that will be new for Westmount is because we have these larger sidewalks at 2 meters wide. What we're doing in this case is we are trying to optimize the pedestrian experience. So at every driveway, instead of going down and up, down and up, down and up, half of the sidewalk will be flat, and that will make it easier for anybody with mobility issues, anybody with a stroller in the wintertime, where you have that cross slope, which kind of takes you down into the street. It'll be a flat surface, and so that should improve the experience on that block. This is something that is done in Ottawa, something that is done in Toronto, and this is a feature that we hope to be implementing elsewhere in the city as we go along. So this will be the first block we'll do that.
Thank you for the update on that, and thank you to the administration who participated in that, but also all the residents who took part in that public information session last week. Councillor Gallery.
Thank you, Madame Mayor. Bonsoir tout le monde. Bienvenue. Welcome. I just have a couple of updates that are quick, but I just want to announce that the Sports and Rec Department is offering free leisure classes in Westmount Park that actually started today. They're from 10 to 11, and they will be offering yoga, tai chi, and fitness. And if it is raining, they will take place in Victoria Hall. Additionally, because Councillor Roux's not here, I just want to really highlight what the events department's been working on with the Summer Film Club, the summer concerts, the summer vernissage that's in our gallery beside Victoria Hall. Please take advantage of all these wonderful summer activities. All the information's on the website. And lastly, tomorrow there's a heat warning. So please, if you need to cool off, go to the rec center, go swimming, stay hydrated. And additionally, you can go to the library and Victoria Hall and reach out to someone if you are struggling in any way. So public security is there as well.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Councillor Aronson, do you have an update?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Two quick things. The city has recently observed an increase in illegal dumping of garden waste on public property, in parks and streets and sidewalks, etc. So just a reminder that since the special branch collection that followed our ice storm in the spring has ended, that property owners or their contractors are responsible for disposing of garden waste, including large branches, in an appropriate manner. So the city isn't going to be picking them up. In the event that there's a violation of this bylaw, there are fines up to about $1,000, and we imagine most people don't want to waste that sort of money when it's just a question of making sure that branches and garden waste are disposed of properly. If you need more information on how to do that, there's some information on our website. And for those folks who have gardeners or contractors working for them, they are certainly aware of exactly what to do. The second item, on a more positive note, is that this coming Thursday from 2 to 6 p.m., our weekly farmers kiosk is coming back to Green Avenue. It'll be located in the public parking lot just south of Sherbrooke Street every second Thursday. So this Thursday, it'll be on Green Avenue. Next Thursday, the farmers market will be back at Prince Albert Square in Victoria Village. Wonderful way of getting your veggies and getting a little exercise. Come walk over with a bag, you'll need to bring one, and see what the farmers market has in store for you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Councillor Kez.
Thank you, Madame Mayor. I just have three little points. The first one being is that public security is continuing to check dog licenses and enforcing dog bylaws throughout the Summit Woods and dog runs. So it's very important. Dogs must wear a valid license at all times. Second thing I'd like to bring up is a reminder that cycling in Westmount Parks is completely forbidden and tickets will be issued. There have been many complaints, especially in Summit Woods, so no biking in our parks is allowed. Third point is a reminder that residents can register for PSOs to do a vacation check, special passing attention while they're out of town. You can register either online or by calling public security. That's it.
Thank you. We will now begin with the first question period, la première période de questions. I don't think we had any questions submitted online, did we? Il n'y a pas de questions en ligne?
Oui, on a une question en ligne de M. Morrison.
OK. Peut-être on va commencer avec les questions dans la salle avant, puis on va retourner pour les questions en ligne. If there is a question in the room, state your name and address and your question.
Yes, good evening, Madam Mayor and Council. My name is John Fretz. I'm at 473 Lansdowne. Madam Mayor, I'd like to take your attention to Westmount Independent last week nuisance that is the proposed synthetic soccer pitch at Marianapolis. In the article, you say it would not take away green space or space from a park. Well, in fact, if I'm correct, it's that enclosed field
It's a-
above the large parking lot
Yeah.
at the entrance, which is emerald green. I mean, you'd think you're in Ireland. So that would take away from green space.
It's not taking away green space from our parks, which is what
Okay.
had been a concern of many residents, would be that if we turned, that had been a discussion, which I think you were very involved in
Yeah, okay.
a few years ago, that if you turned, say, the junior field or the main field in Westmount Park into a turf field or the WAG,
Okay.
you would then be taking away green space, which is used not just as soccer, it's used as picnic
Yeah.
time and
Okay.
other things, which you can't put dogs on a turf soccer field and things like that. So it's not taking away from our current park space.
Okay, so that clarifies that. My second question is, normally, I think in the past, we used to reseed to get new grass on the playing field.
Yeah.
Will that happen if there's a strike? Will we be hiring a private firm to do that? Because it's important, isn't it?
Yeah, I will have to get back to you on who's going to manage listen, we hope we're not, we normally would reseed in the fall. We typically do that on one of we rotate the fields. Our real problem with our soccer fields is just the overuse. We have almost 800 kids in our soccer program, another 300 in the inner city program, and then the dozens that go play in other cities because they don't want to play on our suboptimal fields. But we will hopefully be long past the negotiations at that point. But I can get back to you with what the plan would be if indeed we were not.
Yeah, and it seemed to me that during the summer, we used to put a reserve on that
yeah,
field
the
and then
green
go
snow
ahead and
fencing.
reseed it, which.
I will
two-
find out with the
Okay.
Director General will have a plan for that, and we'll get back to you.
Thank
I'll
you.
send that to you. Okay? Next question, if there is another question in the room.
Bonjour, mon nom c'est Eliane Scofield, je suis vice-présidente pour le syndicat des fonctionnaires municipaux de Montréal.
Bienvenue.
Ce soir, on avait une assemblée générale extraordinaire et je suis venue vous annoncer de vive voix que les Cols Blancs ont adopté un mandat. Donc, nous ont donné un mandat de moyenne pression pouvant aller jusqu'à la grève à 88 %. La raison pour laquelle je me tiens devant vous aujourd'hui, c'est parce que j'ai espoir qu'on n'ait pas à recourir à la grève et qu'on puisse trouver une entente raisonnable.
Nous aussi.
Excusez-moi, on continue. Donc, dans le fond, je viens vous voir aujourd'hui parce que les membres qu'on a rencontrés aujourd'hui, c'est des membres qui apprécient leur travail, qui sont fiers d'offrir un service aux citoyens de Westmount, mais qui veulent des conditions de travail à la hauteur de ce qu'ils méritent. Donc, on se reverra avec la partie patronale vendredi en négociation et on espère sincèrement trouver une solution pour tout le monde.
Nous
Merci.
aussi. Merci d'être ici avec nous ce soir.
Everybody, good evening. My name is Diana Anderson. I'm at Victoria Avenue. Just one urgent safety concern tonight. I don't know if it's been brought to your attention. Is the splash pad in Westmount Park due to the strike? It has not been cleaned as usual, and given that it's an older wading pool that's been converted to a splash pad, it's
Yeah.
developed algae, and 6 children have slipped, one who's had an open bleeding wound. This is urgent. In my opinion, it should either be closed down or signage should be put up warning parents and youngsters.
So, yeah, I think you had raised it with our Public Works team, who has got a cleaning plan in place.
Even just yesterday, there was another accident, so I just wanted to stress the urgency tonight, but it sounds like you're aware.
We are aware. They're actually here
Okay.
tonight listening to your question, but they're cleaning it tomorrow morning. Obviously, listen, in my opinion, this is not we're meeting next week about this, but this is not an ideal splash pad by any stretch. And always in the summer at this time, when it gets hot, it gets that slimy stuff on it. But we will ensure that it is clean tomorrow, and we will put some, we'll see if we can put some signage out as well.
Yeah, I think just signage just to warn people.
The other issue that happens in that splash pad is this: when skateboarders are in it at night, they put wax on their wheels, and the wax gets stuck to the splash pad.
And
Which-
then there's lots of questions. I don't know how many of you read everything Westmount. It's a great Facebook page. I learn a lot. But the Murray Park wading pool has had a lot of questions. I think people want to know what's happening. And even if it's not going to open the way it did a few years ago, maybe just information in the paper. Many parents are saying, is it happening? It's not a wading pool, but it's closed down. It's been a number of years. But maybe that wading pool and Westmount Park should have potential thoughts about conversion to a modern-day splash pad
Yes.
in future years.
Which is very much on the agenda for that whole area to get a redesign, and that
Okay.
is something that we will raise with you as well next week. That is not a safe wading pool to open because of the pit that you have to go down into does not meet
Understood.
today's safety standards for our employees, so we can't ask them to.
Cooling off is important, but if anyone cools off in Westmount Park, just don't slip. And
Thank you for raising it, though, and thank you for letting them know, and it is getting addressed first thing in
Thank
the
you very
morning.
much, everybody.
Thank you. Any further questions? Otherwise, we will go to the questions online.
Just to pick up where we were a couple.
Your name and your address, please, and your question.
Janice Kraut, 3745 Boulevard. Bear with me, I'm trying to understand how you operate.
But it is question period, so I hope
Right.
it's a question.
So the question is, do you have a point system whereby streets are ranked for repair? Do you rank them according to safety issues, their strategic importance, high traffic, and the actual condition of the road? So, for example, Lexington got a complete rebuild. It's a quiet street. It wasn't in terrible condition. It is not a safety risk. And that's prioritized, let's say, over Claremont, which in 2017 was identified as one of the worst streets in Westmount and still hasn't been repaired. So can you provide some rational logic as to how you choose streets so that we can understand? It seems to be a bit of a random walk down Westmount.
No, there's no randomness whatsoever, and it is done in a very thorough manner, which takes into account what's the underground network as well. So, for example, Lexington had several water breaks on it, causing lots of damage to houses, lots of damage to the infrastructure, and that went on for a couple years before that was fixed. So that is taken into account. The underground infrastructure, which is what residents may not see, is a key critical part of the road repairs, road rebuilding. And then the state of the above ground is sidewalks and roads, but largely is driven by underground networks, primarily water, because we have an obligation to deliver safe water. Councillor Pearce, do you want to? Sorry, I'm just going to have Councillor Pearce add in on that, and he'll answer that question.
So, indeed, it is quite a multivalent analysis. It's not just what happens on top. It's, as Mayor Smith explains, it's largely driven by what happens underneath. So we're talking about our water mains, we're talking about our hydro services, we're talking about our sewer systems. All of that is taken into account. And also, when we're dealing with subsurface infrastructure, those works, depending on the kind of works that are involved, are also eligible for provincial subsidies. And so there's a financial component that comes into it as well. That's just what happens underground. Then on top, as Mayor Smith is explaining, we take into account there's at least two measures, engineering measures, which inform the quality of the road and the ride surface, and we take into account the sidewalk, and then of course we take into account the location, the strategic location of that street. We take into account the administration's ability to do the work. We take into account the location in the city, whereas if there is, we can't have too much construction in one sector of the city at the same time. So all of these things come together, and it is the administration which puts together a very comprehensive analysis that is presented at first for a financial analysis, and then the decision-making happens at the administrative level, and they make a recommendation to us, and that's how we prioritize our streets.
So
you're allowed a follow-up question, so this is your follow-up.
Okay, this is a democracy, right?
Yeah, and there's rules to a democracy, and there's a question and a follow-up question, because there's more questions behind you.
Okay. is what percentage of the water mains are over 100 years old in Westmount? What's the age of the water mains, let's say, on the Boulevard or on Cedar or on Sherbrooke
I
Street?
believe.
That is information that I do not have on hand. If you,
But that's the basis you're telling me of your selection process. So you should have a rating on all of the streets, because it doesn't seem to be consistent. There still seems to be some selective process here, where every time a street is being done, we get the same kind of generic thing. It's been built since 1895, but that's probably 90% of the streets in Westmount. So again, it's very hard to reconcile what you're saying with what's happening.
We'll be happy to provide you with an overview of the age of the water mains in Westmount.
That's fine.
Thank you.
And then, again, I'll be forwarding the report I gave you 2 weeks ago to the municipality. You're supposed to be serving, not self-serving.
if you're making an accusation here in this forum that members around this table are self-dealing,
There is still no explanation for why Grosvenor was ranked. There are 50 other streets in Westmount that have water mains that are 100 years old.
There was a very large public consultation on the rebuilding of Grosvenor, which had very detailed explanation as to why that road was being redone. So, at the time. So, so can we move on to the next question? Les questions en ligne, s'il vous plaît.
Yes, we have a question from Mr. Morrison. So now, Mr. Morrison, you are allowed
Oh, he's
to
live?
talk.
Okay.
Mr. Morrison? Je pense qu'on a un problème technique, Madame la mairesse. On pourra peut-être
Okay.
y revenir.
His mic is off. So, Mr. Morrison, if you can hear us, your mic is off. If you can't, we'll move into the regular part of the agenda. Il n'est pas là?
Il a
Okay.
quitté.
Okay, on va commencer avec numéro 4. That's the end of the question period. Adoption of the agenda is Councillor Gallery.
Merci, Madame la mairesse. Je propose que l'ordre du jour de la séance ordinaire du Conseil du 4 juillet 2023 soit adopté.
Merci beaucoup. En appuyant, c'est Monsieur Aronson. All in favor?
Aye.
Carried. Again, Councillor Gallery. Number 5, approbation du procès verbal.
I move that the minutes of the regular council sitting held on June 19th, 2023 be approved.
Thank you very much. Again, Councillor Aronson will second that. All in favor? Item number 6, reports to council, correspondence. The following documents are tabled. List of bylaws adopted by the regular meeting of the Urban Agglomeration Council on June 15th, 2023. 2 résolutions de diverses municipalités demandant au ministère de la Culture et des Communications pour garantir la survivabilité de tous les immeubles patrimoniaux à coût raisonnable ou en appui la dite demande. 6.2, again, is Councillor Gallery. The general committee meeting minutes.
Le procès verbal de la rencontre du comité plénier du Conseil du 5 juin 2023 est déposé et est disponible sur le site web de la Ville.
Merci beaucoup. Et encore pour Madame Bostock qui n'est pas ici, 6.3. Madame, I don't have the updated version.
That's okay.
Councillor Demi,
No, it's me.
it's, Gallery.
The minutes of the Transportation Advisory Committee meetings held on March 21st, April 11th, and May 9th, 2023 are tabled and are available on the city's website.
Thank you. And 6.4 is Councillor D'Amico.
Merci, Madame la mairesse. Le rapport de main-d'œuvre pour le mois de mai 2023 est déposé.
Merci. 6.5, c'est encore Monsieur D'Amico, registre des paiements.
The list of payments for the month of May 2023 is tabled.
Thank you. 6.6, again, Councillor D'Amico, list of approvals in virtue of bylaw 1507.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. In accordance with bylaw 1507, on the delegation of powers to certain employees of the City of Westmount, the list of authorization of expenditures for the month of May 2023 is tabled.
Thank you. Again, Councillor D'Amico, 6.7, list of duties on transfer invoices.
Merci, Madame la mairesse. La liste de facturation des droits de mutation pour le mois de juin 2023 est déposée.
Merci. Numéro 7, c'est l'orientation du Conseil sur les sujets devant être présentés au Conseil d'agglomération de Montréal. Councillor Gallery.
I move that the mayor, or in her absence, the acting mayor, be authorized to make any decision she deems necessary and in the best interest of the city of Westmount and its residents regarding the items on the agenda of the Montreal Urban Agglomeration Council meeting to be held on August 24th, 2023.
Thank you. A seconder on that will be Councillor Aronson. All in favor? Thank you. Aglo doesn't sit in the month of July. Item number 8 is Councillor D'Amico, Group Insurance Contract, Group Purchase Solution UMQ 2024 to 2029.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Whereas, in accordance with the Cities and Towns Act, the Municipal Code of Quebec, and Solution UMQ, the City of Westmount and this council wish to authorize the issuing of a call for public tenders to obtain group insurance products for its employees and, when applicable, for its elected officials for the period from April 1st, 2024 to March 31st, 2029. Whereas Mallette Actuaire, Inc. has already been awarded the mandate following a public call for tenders for the independent consulting services required by the Union des Municipalités du Québec, UMQ, in the application of the Solution UMQ. Whereas the remuneration provided for in the contract Solution UMQ to be awarded is 0.65% to the consultant Mallette Actuaire, Inc., and the management fees provided for the UMQ are 1.15%. Whereas the City of Westmount now wishes to confirm its adherence to the UMQ's group insurance solution and the corresponding mandate to Mallette Actuaire, Inc., I move that the preamble be made an integral part hereof, as if recited in full, that Council hereby confirm its adherence to Solution UMQ for the group insurance for its employees and/or elected officials at the municipality's discretion, that the adhesion to the group Solution UMQ be for a maximum period of 5 years from April 1st, 2024 to March 31st, 2029, that the City of Westmount mandate the UMQ to act as its representative with respect to the group insurance contract to be awarded as a result of the application hereof, and its renewal, as well as for access to its group insurance file with the insurer in compliance with the rules governing the protection of personal information. That the City of Westmount agreed to pay the UMQ a management fee of 1.15% of the total premiums paid by the City of Westmount during the term of the contract, and a fee of 0.65% of the total premiums paid by the municipality to the consultant Mallette Actuaire, Inc., whose mandate the City of Westmount also joined for the grouping, following a public call for tenders. That the City of Westmount undertake to respect the terms and conditions of the contract to be entered into with the insurance company to which the contract will be awarded following the application of the present terms and conditions, as well as the conditions of the consultant's mandate.
Thank you, Councillor D'Amico. Councillor Peart, I think, would like to second that. It's a pretty thorough explanation, unless you have any other commentary on that. It's the group insurance that we typically sign on to with the UMQ. All in favor? Aye. Carried. Item number 9, approval of a system of bid weighting and evaluating professional services, is Councillor Peart.
Merci, Madame la Mairesse. I move that the city adopt the attached system of bid weighting and evaluating for calls for tenders relating to professional services, that said system of bid weighting and evaluating be used for all calls for tenders for professional services evaluated at over $121,200 unless otherwise specified by way of resolution of council. That said system of bid weighting and evaluating be valid for the year 2023.
Thank you. Councillor D'Amico would like to second this. Any further comments?
This is a typical form and calculation that we use for when we are requesting professional services.
Perfect. Thank you. All in favor? Aye. Carried. Item number 10 will be Councillor D'Amico, call for public tenders, replacement of Hydro Westmount poles.
Merci, Madame la Mairesse. Attendu que des soumissions ont été ouvertes publiquement le 2 juin 2023 pour le remplacement de poteaux Hydro-Westmount, appel d'offre numéro PUB-2023-031, et qu'un procès verbal préparé pour le bureau du greffe et de la ville est déposé lors de cette séance, attendu que, après analyse des soumissions ouvertes, Lorrain 1991 Inc. est le plus bas soumissionnaire conforme tel qu'il apparaît du rapport préparé par la chef de division approvisionnement, lequel est déposé lors de cette séance. Je propose d'autoriser une dépense de 163 290 $, incluant le crédit de taxe pour le remplacement de poteaux hydro-Westmount, appel d'offres numéro PUB-2023-031, d'accorder à Lorrain 91 Inc. le contrat à cette fin au prix de sa soumission, soit pour une somme maximale de 187 742,68 $, taxes incluses, le tout conformément aux documents contractuels de l'appel d'offres PUB-2023-031, d'imputer cette dépense conformément aux informations financières inscrites au sommet additionnel numéro 2023-1955.
Merci beaucoup. Seconded by Councillor Peart. That too is a fairly descriptive one, so all in favor? Carried. Item number 11 is again Councillor D'Amico.
Thank you, Madam.
Modification to a contract professional accounting audit services for 2021, 2022, 2023, and 2024.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Whereas on August 2, 2021, Council awarded a contract to Deloitte, Inc. for the professional accounting audit services for 2021, 2022, 2023, and 2024 for a maximum amount of $224,776, including taxes. Resolution number 2021-08-187. Whereas the estimated total cost for said contract with Deloitte, Inc. is $242,039.50, including taxes. I move that the contract awarded to Deloitte, Inc. for the professional accounting audit services for 2021, 2022, 2023, and 2024, resolution number 2021-08-187, be modified and increased to a maximum amount of $242,039.50, including taxes. That an additional expenditure be authorized in the amount of $17,263.50, including taxes, for the professional accounting audit services for 2021, 2022, 2023, and 2024 with Deloitte, Inc., and to allocate this expenditure in accordance with the financial information included in the decision-making files numbers 2021-1323 and 2023-1958.
Thank you very much. Councillor Peart would like to second that. Do you want to add any more details around that contract?
Just one minor detail. The extras was mainly due to some staffing issues and also due to the data breach that the city encountered this year.
Okay, thank you very much. All in favor? Carried. There are no permits at this meeting, but there will be at the mid-month meeting of July. And then a reminder that there is no meeting at the beginning of August and resumes mid-month August. So now we have a second question period, if there are any, and otherwise the meeting will be adjourned.
On the Montreal side, they've put in 2 speed bumps on the boulevard in front of St. George's. How is it that we're not able to do anything on the Westmount side?
In terms of speed bumps, I think that they had examined speed bumps. I mean, certainly I can ask the Traffic Advisory Committee to look at speed bumps. I know that Montreal didn't paint their speed bumps on the Montreal side, and they've had a lot of complaints about them, but Councillor Kez, can you have them look at further speed bumps? I know that that's something that they had reviewed in the past and felt bollards were more effective. So thank you for your question, and the Traffic Advisory Committee will take note of that.
What has the Traffic Advisory Committee done to improve or reduce the speeding on the boulevard?
They have added several different measures. They've added an extended pedestrian crosswalk at Mount Pleasant and the Boulevard to ensure that students going to the study and St. George's have a safer area to cross. They've added speed trailers throughout. They've added bollards.
So what are speed trailers?
Speed trailers indicate that if you are speeding, it shows you what the speed you are going. They have added bollards. They have added highlighted cross.
There's been nothing added between Victoria heading east, between Victoria and I think all the way to Clark. There's nothing on the south side of the street, which happens to be the widest portion and where there's a fair bit of speeding. So the section when people come up the hill and head down the boulevard, nothing has been put up.
Okay, well, we've also worked with the SPVM to increase patrols and presence there. where I know some people who have gotten speeding tickets that were not pleased about that, but were certainly warranted. But we will certainly ask about the speed bumps on the Montreal side. So thank you for your question. Any other questions? Mr. Fretz?
Yes, John Fretz, 473. I'd just like to go back to the, what's called the net result, which in fact is a surplus that was brought forth at the last meeting. Now, the surplus here is about 4 million and something. At an earlier meeting on June the 5th, I guess you call it a mid-monthly meeting, the statement brought forth was that the net revenue surplus stemmed mainly from transfers on duties, net interest income, revenues generated by Hydro, Westmount, et cetera. Overall, so that came to 4.8 million, which is what was posted as a net result last time. But we can clearly see, and I think is what I pointed out at the other meeting, was that the pay-as-you-go municipal, we only spent 11 million thereabouts of about 20 million or thereabouts, which contributed significantly, I would imagine, to the what's called a net result here, but which some of you people in Amendment Monthly are referring to as the revenue surplus. So I, as a taxpayer, I'd like to know what the surplus, which was posted, where does it come from? Does it come from lack of capital cost completion, or does it come from these revenues that were listed at the June 5th meeting?
I'm sure Councillor D'Amico wants to answer, but it comes from different sources, increase in revenues, and some projects that were carried into 2023. But Councillor D'Amico, do you want to answer in more detail?
Yes, also,
For the reasons discussed, we're looking at the increase. So are you looking at budget versus audited, or you're looking at just the audited numbers that were presented?
No, I'm looking at the how did we accumulate a surplus? You call it a net result, but it is clearly called in one of your meetings and what is also habitually referred to as a revenue surplus. I'm just saying is, where does that come from? Whereas in the budget that was brought, or the audited statement that was brought down on the 19th, clearly shows that there was a lack of capital cost completion that would have contributed to a surplus. So I just, as a taxpayer, I'd just like to know, we've posted a surplus, where does it come from?
So one of the major projects on that was Mount Pleasant, and was that the materials were not available in time because of the backlog in materials.
Yeah, that's
so
what you
that
said.
project got carried. That was a big infrastructure project of last year. That got carried into this year. So that's an example.
Some of our interest income is also higher than expected, and there was an increase also in the welcome tax.
Yeah, okay.
Higher than expected.
So
Higher revenues than expected. Or
Mostly
budgeted.
projects that were not done, correct.
Yeah, but so projects were not capital cost projects were not completed last year for the reasons stated, which are
Like Mount
completely,
Pleasant, yeah.
completely understandable. How is it looking for this year? Are we going to have such a wide
No.
spread?
So this year, most of the projects are actually in motion right now. Our significant ones are all in motion, which you can certainly tell by moving around the city at this point. And we will be adding on a few more projects in the fall, which we should be announcing soon in terms of some improvement to road surfaces.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for your question. If there aren't any more, we will adjourn the meeting. Are there any questions online?
No questions online.
Mr. Morrison didn't log back in or anything? No? Okay. Thank you, everyone. The meeting is adjourned.